All right. So I want to talk to you guys right now about a very special guest we have on the line. Honored to have Representative Jonathon Hill from South Carolina. He is behind the bill for equal protection for all human beings in the state of South Carolina. It is H 4046. Representative Jonathon Hill, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to be on with you guys.
It's such an honor to speak with you, the man of courage in the state of South Carolina. I want to just start this by saying, brother, that we have been praying for you for a very, very, very long time. And I want to thank you for having the courage to stand up for these little human beings, these image bearers of God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Well, thank you for your prayers. I do appreciate it, and it is needed.
Well, Representative Hill, can you tell us, sir, H 4046, what is it, and why is this important for you to put forth in the state of South Carolina?
Right. Well, the context of this is the, we have a 2-year legislative session here in South Carolina, and last session, in the 2019 session, the heartbeat bill was brought up. It was, there's a whole history behind that, which I won't go into right now, but it was brought up, it was passed out of the House, it went over to the Senate, it died in the Senate, and of course, with a little help from COVID, and then that was brought back up again this session, in the 2021 session, and it was pretty much fast-tracked, prioritized. It's actually Senate Bill 1, which indicates it's the very first bill that was filed by any senator in the Senate for this session. And that bill was passed out of the Senate with rape and incest exceptions, sent over to the House. And everyone from the pro-life establishment to the SCGOP, the South Carolina Republican Party, really put the screws to every Republican House member to pass the bill as is. It just was almost more than I could take that that all of these supposedly pro-life people were openly advocating for rape and incest exceptions to the bill, and they said this is the only way it would pass. And so, as you might imagine, for someone in my shoes in the state house, months of February and March were quite eventful and quite depressing, actually. And so it put me on the path of, really trying to think of, well, what is the proper way to address this issue? And for South Carolina, I arrived at 2 simple answers to that. One, the obvious is we need to stop paying tax dollars for abortions and stop giving tax dollars to abortion providers, which has been an ongoing issue. So we need to end abortion funding, and then we also need to end abortion itself. And I think the two...
Looks like we lost him there. Oh, there you go. You're back.
It's a very long-term fight.
Yes. So tell us about H 4046. What is it trying to establish? What's the language? What is it trying to establish? And how is it different than the common industry-wide bills that are put forth in terms of, like, you can kill your baby, but you can't kill your baby if it has Down syndrome. We want wider hallways. Right. How is H 4046 different?
Well, H 4046 removes all exceptions, or supersedes all exceptions in South Carolina law that would allow our state to, kill or murder the unborn. And it literally defines abortion as murder. And there's a nullification bit in there as well, where we're saying we're going to enforce this regardless of what the Supreme Court or any other federal court tribunal decides.
Excellent.
So we reject out of hand the legitimacy of Roe v. Wade and any of its judicial progeny. I think is the official term that's used in the bill. So any subsequent cases like Casey v. Planned Parenthood, the most recent Russo decision, things like that would all be included in when we say Roe. And so, and the reason it says that, quite honestly, is because I've become less and less confident over the last several years that we're going to see Roe v. Wade overturned in our lifetime using the strategies that we've been employing. So this strategy of, well, we've got to put Republicans in the U.S. Senate, and we've got to put a Republican in the White House, and we've got to get pro-life judges on the bench. Well, we just got two, supposedly. That was supposed to give us a majority, and then the Russo decision happens out of Louisiana, and only one of this crop of judges that were supposed to be these big, pro-life justices, only one openly said this is that Roe v. Wade was flawed and needs to be overturned. And so it's really, when I look at the issue here in our state in South Carolina, thousands of babies are killed every day or every year. That really hasn't changed. In fact, access to abortion is at an all-time high. It's growing in South Carolina, and that is something that should prick every one of our hearts. We've got to, anytime, we're fighting, we're not getting the results, it's time to take a step back, reevaluate, try something else. That's exactly what House Bill 4046 does. It tries something else.
Well, I thank you, Representative Hill, because it's one of the most courageous and consistent bills, and that I think you need to take some encouragement, and I really hope that you do. As much as taking this path forward and being courageous like this is very, very difficult, it is the thing that is the most God-honoring, and I want to just encourage you with this, consistent. In other words, those within the pro-life industry that resist this sort of a bill are denying fundamentally their own commitments. The pro-life industry and the pro-life movement has stated from the beginning that what's in the womb is human from conception and should be protected. And so when you have a bill like this in the state of South Carolina, you've also had it in Texas and Arizona and in Oklahoma, when you have a bill like this, it is that consistent bill that essentially says what pro-lifers often say. What we say when we say we're for life is it's human from conception. We want to protect all human beings. And so you are taking the courageous stand, you are taking the consistent stand, and so I truly do thank you for that. And I want to just encourage you with this specific thought. Whenever there's any resistance towards this bill, I would point to that fundamental assertion, this is human from conception. Now, if we believe that it's human from conception, then the question is, are we willing to actually offer equal protection to all humans, which is the issue. And we're living in a climate and in a day where we're asking questions about whether lives matter, and that's within all of our wheelhouses right now. Black lives matter, these lives matter, where we hear all the cries for justice and we hear cries for equality and those sorts of things. And this is that kind of bill that highlights what is supposed to be the sentiment of the populace at the moment, and that is that we are all equal, no matter the color, no matter the size, no matter the social background. If you're human, you deserve protection. And this bill is exactly precisely that. It is that you deserve protection because you are human and you deserve protection at all points in your life. And so, Representative Hill, I want to thank you so much for your courageous stand and doing what you're doing. And I want to offer you all the help that I possibly can, we possibly can, in getting this bill ultimately, hopefully, through. And at the same time, we hope this bill offers some education to people to say this is what we should be doing to protect these innocent preborn children. Representative Hill, you have a rally happening on May the 4th in Columbia, South Carolina. Could you tell us about that?
Yes. So, as a state representative, I'm in my 7th year, and I have seen what happens when the people do not rally together and push an issue. And I've also likewise seen what happens when the people do stand up, make their voices, and make themselves heard. We still have government of the people, by the people, and for the people, whether the people act like that or not. And so I'm hoping that this rally on May 4th will be a starting point, will be a catalyst to mobilizing pro-lifers statewide, people who are willing to take a stand for equal justice, people who, like me, are tired of messing around the margins of the issue, who are, tired of us undercutting our own message, our own stance, our own position on the issue by arbitrarily saying, well, we're only going to protect some babies. We're only going to protect babies with beating hearts, or maybe not even all of those, and things like that. So do ask anyone that happens to be listening to the show from South Carolina, please be there May 4th 10 a.m., and I realize it's a sacrifice. You will need to get off work that day. Don't plan on getting any other work done that day. It's a trek down to the State House. It would be a little haul back, so the day's going to be a wash. I understand that. I don't ask people to come to Columbia often. In fact, this is probably the first time I have ever done so in many, many years. But I'm doing it now because it's needed. I need you there.
That's right.
We need a lot of people there. Numbers do matter.
Yes, they do. Representative Hill, thank you so very much. Luke, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, so other than people coming to the rally, is there anything else our listeners can do to help support your bill? Is there someone maybe that's another representative that you're fighting for this bill, or maybe there's another rep that needs a little encouragement? Like, what can our listeners do to help you guys out with this bill?
Well, if you live in South Carolina and you're listening to this show, go to our State House website, scstatehouse.gov. First of all, find out who your state rep and senator are, and then just message them on there. There's a contact form. Just contact them. Say, hey, I want you to support House Bill 4046. I want you to provide, establish equal justice for the unborn. And we've got some reps that are certainly eyeing the bill. There's one state senator who you may be interested in possibly filing a companion bill in the Senate. We'll see. It's still early to tell on that. But the thing that will help most is for people to contact their own State House member and ask them to co-sponsor the bill.
All right.
Thank you, Representative Hill. Such a blessing to have you on today, and we'll be praying for you, and I will be there to walk alongside you and do everything we can to get people out to this rally. Thank you so much, brother.
I'm so looking forward to it. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, God bless you, man. All right, everybody. So there you go. Great opening to a show. Praise God. I know we talk about this stuff a lot, and everyone's like, get to the debate stuff. But listen, we are in a moment right now for the church that is truly spectacular. It is such a gift from God to, after a generation, after a row, to be having a conversation of now, coming into May now, we've got 4 different states that had bills to criminalize abortion, not regulate it, not incrementalize it, but to criminalize it, to abolish it. This is just the beginning of 2021. So praise God, first of all. And I want to highlight the fact that this particular movement in all these states, whether it's Arizona, whether it's Oklahoma, Texas, or South Carolina, is coming from the church. Get that. It's coming from the Church of Jesus Christ. And I want to just highlight something. When you talk about the countless millions upon millions of dollars that have been given into the pro-life industry for 50 years during Roe v. Wade globally, when you consider those millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, staff costs, building costs, all that goes into these things, when you compare what they have done over the last 50 years with what has happened coming from the church in the last decade, there's no comparison. We're talking about pennies on the dollar in comparison in terms of like what it took to do this. This is the work of God. It is a true blessing. And I would just want to say to you, listen, thousands of people are going to watch this video right now. So look, I'm going to look right into this camera. I hope Isaac has on this camera. Thousands of people are going to watch this video here. And I want to just plead with you from the heart. Luke and I both do. If you believe that abortion is murder, if you want to see it ended, then we need you to join us at these rallies. We need you to join us at these rallies. You've got to make the sacrifice. You've got to come. Is it worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. You heard Representative Hill express to you the fact that these numbers matter, showing up to these rallies. They say something to the legislature, so we need you. We need you there. Please be in attendance. Make it happen. Come to South Carolina. Come to Columbia, South Carolina. It isn't easy. Listen, it isn't easy for us either. I can give you my word on this. Our lives as pastors of Apologia Church are extraordinarily busy, very, very busy. Making these commitments is actually a very difficult thing for us. We really do have to plan these things, figure out how's it going to be made possible. It is a sacrifice for all of us. I assure you it's a sacrifice for our families, but we are fully committed to seeing this injustice ended on these preborn children. Yep. So please come join us. I know that for some of you it'll be a major drive. Maybe some of you guys are living in Texas and you're like, I'd like to maybe be a part of this. Come drive out. Come to Columbia. Come put your hand in my hand, and let's do this together. Some of you guys are in Florida. Come to South Carolina. Some of you guys are in Washington, D.C. Come to South Carolina. Drive or fly to Columbia, South Carolina to meet with me and Representative Jonathon Hill on May the 4th, 10 a.m. Come and join us. We need you there. I know some of you guys are like, oh, somebody else has got that covered. Probably not. It's probably you, okay? So you're necessary. You're as necessary as us. We got to have you there. We need this movement to speak to legislatures across the country. We need this movement to actually shout to the pro-life industry, you failed. You failed to be fundamentally Christian. You failed to be consistent. And so this is going to be something we're doing as the church, and we're going to be consistent. Just consider this one point. Representative Jonathon Hill brought up the kinds of bills that are put forth oftentimes from the pro-life industry that are totally inconsistent with their presuppositional commitments in terms of this is human life from conception. So they'll say things like, well, like for example, Kathy Herod, Bloody Kathy Herod in Arizona, she puts forth a bill. She fights against our bill for equal protection, and she puts forward a bill that says you can kill babies except the ones with Down syndrome. So kill the babies, but you can not do the ones with Down syndrome. And she actually fought to decriminalize abortion in the state of Arizona because abortion has been a crime in Arizona. It has never been taken off the books. The assumption is Roe did something about that. It didn't, but Queen Herod in Arizona actually worked to get abortion decriminalized.
Yep.
That's the pro-life industry working for you. Why? Because they believe that mothers and fathers who kill their babies are themselves victims. You'll never, ever, ever, ever end abortion like that. Stop pretending. Stop giving money to them. But think about the indoctrination process over the last 50 years of Roe. Even the pro-life industry is susceptible to that indoctrination to the degree that, watch, none of us, I would say nobody in this country, well, except of course the criminals, would actually advocate for a bill in sex trafficking that says you can sex traffic over the age of 12. Or sorry. Yes, yeah, which direction they do it? In abortion, they do it in terms of like the older. Yeah, you can't kill the older, but you can do the younger.
Yep.
Yeah, so imagine having a bill that says you can sex traffic the younger kids, but not the older, more developed ones.
Or if they have Downs, you can't sex traffic those ones.
Don't sex traffic the kids that have handicaps. Would you really think that any person with a moral fiber in their body would actually advocate for a bill like that? Absolutely not. Or how about this? You can sex traffic, but the brothel has to actually be up to code. That's exactly what. And look, we have got to take off the blinders as Christians and call it out. Say this is inconsistent. It's immoral. It's wrong. This is not pleasing to God. This is evil. And so that's what's taking place in the pro-life industry. And brothers and sisters, there is no way to make that better. I mean, you can try to do all the sophistry you want and you can cover it up with the nicest language, but you're still advocating for and ultimately helping in the slaughter of the innocent. And we need to actually speak to it with truth. And so anyway, meet us there, May 4th, Columbia, South Carolina, 10 a.m. Representative Jonathon Hill. Pray for him. Pray.
Yes.
I can tell you right now, when these courageous legislators, we know it, we've seen it, when these courageous legislators put these bills forth, they get nailed from their own side. From their own side. The pro-life politicians that asked to be voted in because they are pro-life and everybody assumed that meant something, they come against these guys saying, no, man, it's too bold, it's too difficult, it's too controversial, don't do that. We have seen that over and over and over again. You need to pray for Representative Jonathon Hill. Pray that God gives him peace. Pray that God gives him strength. And before we start, Pastor Luke, do you want to add anything?
I was just going to say, he's already been kicked out of the Republican caucus in South Carolina because he's too conservative. So he's already used to that. He's awesome. You weren't able to have dinner with him that one day he was here, but he's an awesome homeschool Baptist boy, and he doesn't care what any of them think. He wants to do what's right. So. Well,
praise God for Jonathon Hill. Praise God for Jonathon Hill. All right. We ready to do this, everybody? Let's do it. Okay.